guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Heather. I am the owner and author behind townsendhouse.com, where I help you implement systems and strategies in order to overcome the chaos and cultivate simplicity in your home and homeschool. I am a homeschool mom of 3, and we are going on our 10th year of homeschooling, which is a little crazy to me. Today I'm going to be talking about doing a homeschool year wrap-up. And essentially what that is just looking back on your entire year and figuring out what went well and what were some of the challenges that you did have throughout the year. And the reason that we do this is so that in planning for our new homeschool year, we are able to make the adjustments that we need in order to start off strong and have a nice, healthy plan in place for what we need to do for the coming homeschool year. I did write a blog post about this, and I do have a printable that I'm going to be working off of. That will be in the description box below. If you do want to grab this, you don't have to, but this is what I'm going to be going through with you today. So I had a challenging year. If you've been reading my blog or if you have watched any of my vlogs lately, we did move this year. We listed our house in August, and the realtor actually came to take pictures of our house the weekend after our kids came down with some type of crazy bug. Emma and Jack both had really high fevers for like 6 days, and then Lucy came down with it the first day of school for us for the year. So it did not start off well. And then we listed our house and had probably 30 showings like in the first month and a half of it being listed. And they were not all concentrated on just a few days. It was like every day there was a showing. So it was definitely a challenge trying to get the house ready for a showing and also homeschooling the kids and getting them to their activities. It was very overwhelming for me. It was a challenging fall. And then we decided to take our house off the market and have a nice holiday season. We ended up having somebody contact us saying, are you still interested in selling the house? Which of course we were. And then everything moved really quickly in January. In February, we closed on our house, and then 2 weeks later, everybody's under quarantine. So it's been a different homeschool year. And I was thinking about it, and because there were a lot of challenging times, sometimes it's really easy to forget the things that went well in your homeschool year. And so I really had to sit down and evaluate those things. One of my kids is a little bit slower with spelling, and this year they really made dramatic improvements in spelling, and the writing that child started to do was really detailed and correct punctuation and spelling and grammar, and it really made me happy. And I had to remember that, even though for me personally it was very challenging making sure that we were staying on plan and getting to all of the different resources that we wanted to, or that I wanted to, there were still a lot of really good things that happened in our homeschool year. And so the first question that we are going to be asking ourselves is, what did go well in your homeschool year? Was there a particular subject that your kids really thrived in? Did you have a particular planning strategy that worked really well? Was it a morning time routine where you read some specific books all together? Was it game schooling? You had some great games that you played together. Whatever it was, list that down. Write down the things that went well, because obviously you want to continue doing those things into the new school year. For me, we had a really good routine of reading together as a family. We do use a literature-based curriculum, so we do read a lot together as a family. But up until this year, it's been a little challenging with Lucy. She is just 5. And so trying to keep her occupied while also reading books that are interesting to my older two has been a bit of a challenge. But this year, everything kind of clicked. And one of the things that works well for us is letting the kids do some sort of activity while I'm writing, whether it's painting or Play-Doh or drawing. Emma and Jack love to draw, and Lucy does as well. Anything that they are using their hands while I'm reading is a good thing. And so we were able to get through so much reading, especially after our move. We did have to take several weeks off for packing and just getting everything ready to get into the new home. And then once everything sort of shut down and we had no outside activities for a while, we were able to get a significant amount of school done in a short period of time, primarily because the kids were occupied with their hands while I was reading. Another tip is to make snacks. They always tend to pay attention better when they are well fed. So you want to know what went well for you for the homeschool year, but you also want to know why. Why did it go well? Was there something about it? Was it just purely your attitude? Are those the things that you look forward to the most, and so your kids can see that that engagement from you, the excitement from you? Why did those things go well? Just write down some thoughts about why you think they went well. And then the next thing you're going to look at are what the challenges were for the homeschool year. Now, this is not meant to beat yourself up or even feel badly about what happened throughout the year. It's just really to look at what were the challenges, why were they a challenge, what can you do to improve on them next year. Now, it could be something so easy as a specific math curriculum does not work for your middle child, even though it worked great for your oldest. And so you need to think about different ways in order to engage that child with math, but perhaps using a different resource method. And that's okay. Not every kid is going to be able to use every resource, which I've found as my kids have gone up through the grades. When I bought my first curriculum package, I think in 2010, I just assumed that one would move, my next child would use that same curriculum and then just continue building. And while we do use a lot of the same resources, we don't use all of the same resources. So you want to know what the challenges were and why they were challenges in the first place. So after you ask those first 4 questions, you want to find out, what do you want to keep for the new homeschool year? Now, is there a particular subject that you really enjoyed? Was there a routine or rhythm that worked for you that you want to make sure that you instill for the next year as well? Was it a specific activity? Was it, a particular loop schedule that worked well, or a block schedule that worked well? What is the thing that you want to make sure that you keep for the new homeschool year? Write that down so that you know when you start planning, okay, I do want to make sure that I do this. Sometimes it's easy to think, I have it all in my head, I know what I want to do, but if you write it down, it's going to get it down on paper. You won't forget as many things. It's easy to say, oh, I know what I want to do, but oftentimes we do forget. And so just write it down. It helps solidify it in your mind, and will help you as you're planning your new homeschool year. And then in the same vein, you're going to want to ask, what do you want to get rid of for the homeschool year? Now for me, that was going to be a lot of stress involved with moving, which obviously we have moved, and so I don't have to deal with that anymore. But also, Emma and I have been talking about whether or not she wants to continue doing band. In this time that she has been home and not attending the public school band practices, she has felt better. she has more time to do some of the other things that she really enjoys. Not that band is a bad thing, and I was in band all through middle school and high school and jazz band and singing and everything, and music is a huge part of my life and Emma's life. But she did notice that she was not able to do some of the other activities that she wanted to do with some of the homeschool groups in our area, just because she is at public school when those groups meet. And so we have to decide whether we are going to continue participating in music at the public school, or if we're going to have to look for some alternatives, because obviously she does still want to continue being involved in music, but we may just do a different thing than what we have been for the past several years. So that is just an example of something we may edit out of our normal schedule. Again, it's still up in the air. We haven't decided anything yet, but I'm just giving you an example of some of the things. So you could also look at a specific activity, or maybe, you don't want to do as much nature walks, nature journaling, because your kids just really don't care about it. Maybe they're more interested in watching documentaries about nature than going out and drawing birds. So it could be anything really. You really want it to be specific to your kids and to you. What are the things that you do want to edit out of your homeschool year for the next year? And then I want you to ask, was there one subject that you really excelled at teaching this year? Was there one subject that everybody just loved that subject? You got into a groove and you knew what you wanted to do, and you really did a great job with that. Now, why was it so good for you this year? It could be, for us, we use a lot of the Brave Writer curriculum for language arts, English and language arts, and my kids love the books. So Brave Writer has these things called arrows, and it follows a book that you read aloud to your kids, and it has copywork and grammar and spelling and writing elements all throughout this guide, and you do one book a month. And so what we have done is I choose the arrows based on the books that we are reading through the Sunlight curriculum, because there is a lot of overlapping between the Sunlight books and the books that Julie has chosen for her Brave Writer program. And so I go through and I choose some of those books, and then we do some of the arrows that go with them, and the kids love it. And they also really, really love the writing projects that Brave Writer offers. We kind of do a combination of the partnership writing projects and the faltering ownership writing projects, and we sort of go back and forth. We don't do one every month. My kids do a lot of free writing on their own, and working on different research things on their own. I think it's mainly because I've given them the freedom to do that. So that is something that is working really well in our family. That is a subject that we have really done well with, and it's something that I want to continue with. Now, the next question that you're going to want to ask, is there a subject that you really struggled teaching? That's okay if you did struggle. We all struggle with specific subjects in certain times, and sometimes we struggle with more than one subject. But I want you to think about the one particular subject that you had the hardest time teaching this year, not the one that your kids had the hardest time with, but the one that you had the hardest time with. Now, was it because you did not engage with the material? Was it too hands-on or not particular to your teaching style? And is there a way that you can improve on that subject to make it easier for you for the coming year? It does not mean that you have to get rid of the resources that you're using. If you're using a particular math curriculum and you don't want to stop using that, that's fine. But is there something that you can do in order to make it easier? In the younger grades, we have used Singapore math for teaching math. I am a math person and I love math, and sometimes I have a hard time understanding why my kids aren't understanding the math because it's so simple to me personally. But what I did was I searched online for other resources, and I happened to find a woman who has YouTube videos teaching the exact same lessons that I was trying to teach. And so you could subscribe to her service. We didn't end up doing that, but we did try it out for a while, and it kind of got us over a hump. Or you can completely switch the curriculum altogether. We have had great success with teaching textbooks as well, and that is so hands-off for the parent. Obviously, if the child has questions, they can ask you, but there's so much interactive right there on the program itself that oftentimes I don't even need to be involved at all, and it does all the grading for me. So that is huge plus in my book. So look at the subjects that you taught and just pick out the one that you struggled with the most. Even if you don't feel like you struggled all that much overall, what was the hardest one to teach and why? And then the next part is going to be, what did your child do the best in? What did they excel at? So we talked about the things that you as a teacher did well, but what were the things that your child really did well this year? And the reason that you want to do that is, number one, you want to give them the accolades to know that they did a good job. And you also want to make sure that you're building on that for next year to continue to encourage them to grow in that area that obviously maybe it's not a passion for them particularly, but it's something that they are good at, and you want to continue encouraging them in that area. And then also at the same time, what is the subject or area that your child struggled in the most? And that's where you're going to want to concentrate your time on figuring out how you can change your next homeschool year to make that better for your child, whether it's a different resource, whether it's a completely different method of teaching. Think about the 4 different methods of teaching and how your child learns best. Maybe you just need to explain things in a different way. It doesn't mean that they don't understand the subject. They may just have more questions than a different child did about that particular subject. So overall, this is really just to help you wrap up your homeschool year so that you know going into next year's planning what you need to work on the most. It's great also for your homeschool portfolio or your end of year review, just to sort of have a broad sense of how your entire year went. So I hope that this was a helpful video for you. Again, grab the free printable in the description box so that you can go through these questions. And please let me know if you have any questions. You can contact me or leave me a comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.